All of you are late. Every single one of you. Late. How dare you? No, I started 3 minutes early. Just because. Just so I can scold you for absolutely no reason. Because that's how I roll. Haha. Hi. How goes life and the universe and everything we perceive? Or not? Not everybody is in full possession of all of their senses, right? And I mean senses, not sanity. Not that either, but I think I overdid it with the caffeine today. Yeah. I have energy for sure. I have a bit too much, and the brain is going wee, which I think is probably a good time to stream. Until I have the big caffeine crash, and then I'm gonna be a zombie. But until then, we're gonna have some fun, right? Hell yeah. What's happening? What you doing, folks? Don't ask me what I'm doing, because today I've just been editing. That's it. Nothing but work. That's been today so far. So I don't have anything spectacular to report on, other than being caffeinated out of my mind. Yeah, that's about it. Coffee or green tea? Coffee. Any day. I realize that coffee is bitter, but I can't really handle the type of bitterness that green tea has. Like with coffee, if you put in some milk or whatever, or sweeten it just a little bit, it's fine. Green tea, I mean, yeah, you can do that too, of course, but I don't know. For some reason, I can tolerate even black coffee, which I don't like, more than green tea. I don't know. Taste buds, they do their own thing. They're independent thinkers, or something. Yes. I went to order Devil's Edge sword and realized afterwards that all of their swords are now labeled as stainless steel instead of the high carbon. Yeah, there was an issue with them. Cult of Athena is now actually pushing for more transparency and expects suppliers to, basically document that that the steel they're labeling is indeed what. Wait. To document that the steel is indeed what they're labeling it as, where it's hard. Yeah, and apparently they found some inconsistencies with Devil's Edge, which is a real shame because their designs are quite good. And the construction and everything, but if the steel is problematic, then yeah. So other ones, search which sword should you buy. I have an entire series, which is still fairly recent, where I recommend swords in all price ranges. Budget, mid-range, high-end, for all kinds of different periods. So go check that out. I'm pretty sure you'll find something. I don't know. I might have still recommended Devil's Edge in those because that was before this came out. So ignore anything from that, basically. But otherwise, should still be valid, I think. Caffeine is a psychoactive drug and just about the only socially acceptable addiction. Wait, is it actually psychoactive? I don't think it is. Maybe I'm misremembering the definition of psychoactive. It has a physical effect, affecting the mind or mental processes. Yeah, well, that's very vague. Ability to alter mood, anxiety, behavior, cognitive processes, or mental tension. I mean, it improves cognitive processes, so I guess you can call it that. All right. But no, not really. There are other addictions that are socially acceptable, like social media and alcohol. I mean, unless you're a full-blown alcoholic, but even that tends to kind of fall under the radar quite often socially. So there are definitely certain things. Let's see. That is a very, very vague statement. Yeah, I was expecting something a little bit more precise. More like a scientific definition. But this is just kind of like, yeah, it does things to the mind. Okay. Thanks, Dubstep Chicken. That's one hell of a username. Can you describe what your experience of and during lockdown was like? First off, thank you. And second, not all that much changed. Because the thing is, the first time when it happened, like the first lockdown, when COVID really blew up the first time, we were still in a house, which was pretty useful at the time because it meant that I could record just by going outside, going in the backyard and stuff. So that really didn't affect me all that much. The only thing was, the pandemic was still new. So of course, both of us were uncertain, like where the hell this is going, because we didn't know anything. There was, no vaccine in sight yet, nothing like that. So it's of course a little disconcerting, to just be like, okay, there's this thing going around. How long is that going to take? What exactly are the ramifications going to be, etc. So that, but otherwise, not that much was different, really. Yeah. At times, it was frustrating at times to not be able to go out, during lockdowns, Stores always basically we just did pickups, just order online and going for pickups. So for a while we didn't go into any place, like no grocery store, nothing. So yeah, that was a little bit annoying, kind of. I did get cabin fever eventually, but it wasn't too bad at that time. When we had to move into this apartment and then, there was also a lockdown period, of course. That was worse because then, yeah, you can't do shit. Anyway, thank you, Forrest. Awesome content. Would you consider looking at the PC game Mordhau? I'd love to see your take on the realism. I already did. Wait, did I? I think I did. I'm pretty sure I made a video about it a while ago. Let me just double check because sometimes I just legit misremember what the hell I've done because I've made so many videos. Mordhau, yeah, right. I put up a video in 2019, literally titled "Please Stop Asking About Mordhau Now," because I did react. And before that, I reacted to the Mordhau trailer in 2017. So it's been a while, but you can check those out. Do you think you have predominantly fast or slow twitch muscle fibers? Dude, I have no fucking clue. Okay. I had a phase when I was kind of a gym bro, like when I was really getting deep into it and looking into all the different things, this and that and the other, but I never really look. How do you even check that? Like, I don't even know. So even at the height of my gym bro phase, I didn't do that, so I can't tell you. Who cares anyway? Let's see. Have you tried Chivalry 2? Nope. Not yet, at least. Drinking alcohol isn't Wait, what is it? Hey, you can't do that, Nayat. You can't just retract a message while I'm reading it. Okay, there it is. You reposted it. Drinking alcohol isn't something you should feel proud of. Yeah, I agree. If you can help it, only drink socially and in a healthy environment. Yeah. I would actually make a distinction between drinking alcohol and getting drunk. I think there's a huge difference between those two, because you can drink alcohol in all kinds of contexts in a well-adjusted, healthy way, in moderation and everything, without getting even just tipsy, let alone totally shit-faced. I think that's what makes a difference. Like, getting drunk is what I personally have a problem with. In two ways. I generally don't like how people act when they're drunk, and I hate the effect that it has on me, even the slightest effect. My brain is all about the stimulants. I can't handle anything that has a suppressing effect. It just makes me feel like shit. So, yeah. If you're good at, say, sprinting, jumping high, as opposed to good cardio, fatigue resistance, etc. I'm not amazing at either, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I would say it's kind of even-ish. I don't know. I don't know how to quantify it. It's probably balanced for some people, right? Or is everybody high on one or the other? Is everybody high? I don't know. I like being drunk once in a while, but my stomach is fucked up and always gets bad when I drink too much. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a number of detrimental effects on your body. Again, moderation, not that big of a deal. Like a lot of things. Thanks, the Netsrack. Netsrack? I got nothing clever to say other than thank you for all your videos over the years. Cheers from Denmark. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. I agree with you. Let's say my brother-in-law considers himself an alcoholic connoisseur. An alcohol connoisseur. Wow. And I read it as alcoholic connoisseur, and I was like, the fuck is that? Like, are you all hoity-toity about being an addict? I mean, maybe some people might be. I don't know. I've enjoyed the nutty flavors of whiskeys, but will never be drunk. Fuck that. Yep, there you go. Most people display roughly equal amounts of both. Yeah, there you go. I think that's where I'm at. At least I don't know of any drastic emphasis on one or the other. A connoisseur doesn't get drunk very often, if at all. Yeah, I would agree. Like, I guess I'm maybe sort of a connoisseur for stuff like mead and dessert wines, just in small amounts for the taste, because some of the stuff can be really good. Like, dessert wines have such a strong flavor. They're so heavy that you would never drink a lot of it. Also because it's expensive. But it's like, I can't imagine drinking enough dessert wine to get drunk. That's nuts. It's so strong, you just need tiny sips. Anyway, thanks, Chaos Omega. I bought a Gambeson for fencing, but the armpits are open. Any suggestions on some kind of voiders? There are, I think, people who make male voiders. That would be a good thing to try out. I mean, the problem is, of course, that male voiders, don't really protect it well against blunt impact. It's pretty rare, really, to get a thrust, let alone a cut in the armpit. If it happens, it sucks, but it's not that common. I think I've seen padded voiders as well. That might be a thing, but I don't know. I can't tell you where I saw those. If you search for male voiders, you should find something, I think. As a fellow ADHDer and someone who also suffers from depression, I'm with you on the alcohol thing. Getting drunk just makes me morose and badly screws up my judgment. There's no added enjoyment. Yeah. For me, it's also just, it feels really shitty physically. Like, it's just not, the body feeling is not enjoyable in any way, shape, or form. It just sucks. You could just put a bit of felted fabric on your undershirt as an additional padding. Yeah. Thanks, Scott. Brittany St. Leafy posted a video about first HEMA tournament experiences. What was your first? How did you feel about it? Tournaments in general. Yeah, Victoria Highland Games. Whichever year, I don't remember. That was my first. Was it 17? I can't remember. Either way, I was pretty anxious, actually, in advance, pretty nervous, which I think the whole YouTube thing added to it. Because it was like, okay, I can't make a fool of myself. I can't totally fail and embarrass myself. This would suck. I didn't, but that was a bit of a worry. And also, I was worried about getting injured, which, I have a the hell was that? Which I have a tendency towards, apparently, in recent years. Fortunately, didn't do that either. But yeah, I was definitely like during the tournament. There was definitely a lot of adrenaline going on. Was it 2018? I can't even remember. But yeah, it was a good experience to have for sure. But it was stressful as well. And tournaments in general, I don't know. These days, I'm not really interested anymore because it sounds silly because, I'm only turning 40 next year. Eric is older than me and I actually don't know what he does now, but he's been in plenty of tournaments, obviously. But I just feel like it physically, it's just a lot worse than it used to. It takes me way longer to heal, and I've accumulated so many aches and chronic injuries and things that I just don't want to add anymore. I'm just done with that, pretty much. Like I'm still up for sparring, but tournaments are just just a much higher risk environment. Because everybody is on adrenaline, everybody fights a lot harder, hits harder. Some people even do it deliberately to try to get you out of the pools, which is horribly shitty behavior and unacceptable, but some people still do it. Stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know if I really want to mess with that anymore. There's a time and place for everything, but I don't know. Anyway, thanks AM Productions. Look at that. Skull's live streaming and YouTube didn't tell me. Yeah, of course. YouTube doesn't tell anybody shit. Okay, I just posted an upload summary for October. All of October, every video I uploaded, and there were a number of people saying they didn't get a single one. 0. They're subscribed and they didn't get a single one of the 8 or so videos I uploaded in October. What the fuck, YouTube? Seriously. It's stupid. Don't they know I'm the sponsor? Yes, you sure are. JK, good news. I'm on a cane now, out of the walker. All right. Glad to know. You're definitely still healing more quickly. Enjoy it while you can. It's not a good sign that I already talk like this. Like, what's it going to be in my 60s or later? Just like, yeah, today I tried to get out of bed and I tore my calf. I cracked a vertebra trying to bend down to pick up a thing, yeah. What can you do? Thanks, son of the D. Okay. What do you think of YouTube hiding dislikes and their excuse of it's for the smaller creators? They do what now? Hiding dislikes? I haven't even heard of that. I don't know what that's about. That sounds pretty minor. I have way worse gripes with them, with them fucking up the algorithm once again, and now everything is getting throttled on my channel. Yay! And I'm not even that strongly affected. Some people have complained about basically being down to almost no views. Smaller channels, they were completely destroyed by that recent change. It's just serious. Thanks, Discount Viscount. Have whips ever been used as a weapon and not just tools to intimidate and inflict pain? If not, could they be modified to be useful weapons? I'm not aware of any cases. The only thing I can think of is the urumi, the whip sword, the flexible thing from India, which I don't know if it ever really was used in actual combat or if it's one of those things kind of stylized martial arts weapons, the same way as China has plenty of those that are being practiced with now in current martial arts, but they weren't actually used on the battlefield or in duels in history. I don't know if that's the case, but it's pretty much the only thing I can think of. Because whips are really they aren't a weapon. Like, again, they're like a torture device or what's the word? Disciplinary object. I don't know. When used on horses and such. Yeah, some people do it too, but whatever. You could, basically, if you think about it, a modified whip that is a better weapon, what is that? A flail. Like, you legit just made a flail. Because the modifications that you have to do to make it effective as a weapon turns it into something that already exists, pretty much. If you think about the Stinger, it's steel cable self-defense tool. That's a good example of a combat whip, for in a modern context. And of course, chains. In terms of gang weapons. Thanks, MIX King. I'm young, though sometimes, especially after work, I feel like an old man. Are you ready for the snow? Alberto's already got it, of course. No, not really. I don't like snow very much. Snow in and of itself for a while is kind of neat and all. It just becomes really annoying after it's been on the ground for a while and it's been frozen over a number of times and then it's all icy and stupid, It's just a pain in the ass, particularly when you have a driveway that you need to clear, which right now we don't, but in the house that sucked big time. It was a long ass driveway too. I did not enjoy 2 hours of snow clearing. It's just, nah. Anyway, whoa, thank you, AM. That's a very generous one. Well, you tend to occasionally shoot up those $50 super chats sneakily. Appreciate it, but like I keep saying, don't overburden your finances, please. I'm in a nightmare right now. My right leg tells me to lay down. My left leg, the side I broke, tells me to move, and my back just laughs at me for even trying. Yikes. That probably explains why my views went from 100 or so to 10, and 10 is a good day. That last part was about the algorithm. Yeah. At first I was like, wait, the problems with the legs and back, that has to do with the views? No, that makes sense. The stupid algorithm. You get it? You know what I'm saying? Algorithm. Yeah, that was definitely too much caffeine. There is such a thing, believe it or not. Some people will vehemently disagree in the chat, I'm sure. Do you like to play FPS games? Sometimes. Not very often, but every now and then I get in the mood for an FPS. Again, not terribly often. I used to play them more, but lately it's just been like, I don't know. Rarely these days. Does a kiss stand count as whip? I would count it as a flail. You could, it's really not long enough for a whip, because that's the thing, like whips are generally pretty long. There are shorter versions, but usually they're pretty long. Thanks, Sam. As someone who has a speech impediment and whose brain moves faster than my mouth can keep up with, I understood you completely. Okay. I don't have a speech impediment as such, but my problem is, ADHD being all over the place. It's sometimes hard to get through a sentence without being like, without stopping and redirecting, so to speak. I often have little brain farts and malfunctions that lead to strange pronunciations, or sometimes I say the opposite of what I mean. Fortunately, not too often, but sometimes I pick the exact antonym instead of the word that I want. The view out your window is pretty good. Yeah, that's one of the few benefit. Well, I mean, there are some benefits to this place. Don't get me wrong. It's actually not terrible. The apartment itself is nice. It's just the fucking noise. Everything and everyone in this block is just a noisy nightmare. Thanks, Clout Boy. If you didn't mean to leave out the comment and put it in the regular chat, I'll keep an eye out. I know that sometimes that happens, but either way, thanks. The image looks stretched. You calling me fat? It shouldn't be stretched. No. This is this is standard 1080p. What about this camera? It might be because this is a pretty wide angle lens. That's probably what makes it look a little bit different, because the lens is only pretty much arm's length away from me. A little bit more than arm's length there. So it's pretty close. Fairly wide angle. Why no 4K? Because streaming in 4K just doesn't really make sense. Because most people are not even going to be... First off, YouTube messes with the video quality anyway. And streaming in 4K is pretty extreme. The thing is, I actually record my main content in 4K, but then I render it in 1080p simply because that allows me to use digital zoom. Like, I can, in the 4K original footage, I can zoom into 1080p and, it still looks great, or a little bit less, but it still looks good. And, that gives me a little bit more flexibility when editing, which is great. I was going to say ADD and ADHD are very hard things to deal with, especially nowadays when getting a diagnosis can be very hard. It can be hard, and you have imposter syndrome. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. Like, it is... it can be pretty difficult to find a doctor who actually diagnoses you. Like, it's actually easier to find someone who will prescribe you ADHD meds without even diagnosing you. And the imposter syndrome is definitely an issue. Like, I still sometimes ask myself, do I really have it? Am I just lazy after all? Do I really have it? But no, it's... The kind of shit that I deal with is not within the realm of the normal or average or whatever. And yeah, it's, for some people it's pretty obvious. Of all the bad / unrealistic sword fighting tropes and games and movies, is the one that you feel stands as the worst of them all? Useless armor, I tend to mention, because it's so ridiculous when you see somebody wearing like full plate armor, and it's just some asshole comes along and just cuts it straight open. It's like, what's the point of this exactly? Like, you know, I don't like that one. Other than that, twirling, spinning and twirling the way it's done, you know, just to look fancy. I think that's probably the worst. Well, overly fancy moves in general. You know, jumping and sliding and all kinds of crazy shit that'll just get you straight up killed in a real fight. Thinks hippie with a HEMI. I think good, but when it comes out, it all turns to jello, or whatever Forrest Gump said. Most relatable quote dealing with Asperger's. Oh yeah, yeah. Like in your head it makes sense, but then when you say it, it seems garbled. Yeah, that can be a thing. Thanks again, AM. Everyone deals with something. Yes, they sure do. You just have to remember that someone's going through the same thing somewhere. Yep. As bad as you have it, someone has it worse. Like my brother got his knee sliced to the bone a few days ago. Yikes. That sucks. Yeah. Which is something that's good to be aware of. But at the same time, I feel like people sometimes use that in a bad way to try to trivialize somebody else's problems. It's like, oh, you suffer from this or that, or you have ADHD. Well, I know somebody who has schizophrenia. That's way worse. Yeah, it is worse. That doesn't make these problems invalid. You know, it's like, oh, you think you have a bad, oh, you broke your hip and you think you have a bad, oh, somebody lost a leg in an industrial accident. Yeah, so fucking what? Yeah, sucks for them. Of course it's worse, but that doesn't make it any better, you know? It's one of my pet peeves. People sometimes do that, and they're like, oh, yeah, you know, you don't have it that bad. You know, think of the starving children and wherever the fuck, you know? My mom's bipolar and she tries using the same arguments. Yes. Like, yeah, being bipolar sucks, but, you know, something that's not as severe sucks too, and something that's more severe, yeah, may suck more, but it doesn't make this thing less hard to deal with, you know? Also, the thing is, people have this universalist view, like, as if everybody deals with the same thing the same way. You know, like, for example, if you think about the fact that people's pain threshold, both pain threshold and pain tolerance, which are two separate things, those are different for different people. Like, some people will feel the same thing, the same type of damage, basically, more strongly than others, and some can deal with it better than others. So the same person, like two people, or let's say 10 different people who all have chronic pain, may suffer from it in very different ways. Some may, you know, be incapacitated by it pretty much, or just suffer from it very strongly, and others may be like, okay, yeah, this sucks, but I'm okay mostly. You know what I mean? And that's also the case for a lot of afflictions of the mind, if you will. Anyway, also there are different degrees, I guess, you know. Anyway, that's just shitty human behavior. I do that sometimes too, and I catch myself before I say something. It's just human nature to compare someone to someone else. It sucks, but it's true. Yeah, it's a common kind of intuitive thing to do. Thanks, Mirochi. I love the way Skull rants/rambles. Well, thank you. That's good. Because I could imagine this being very annoying too. It's not as bad when I am this caffeinated, because then at least things flow. I might sometimes jump a little bit and be a little hyper, but at least it's not like, okay, let me try to get this thought. Wait, I forgot a word. What was I gonna say? I can't remember. That sucks. That's not fun to listen to at all. But yeah, glad you're enjoying it. You're enjoying it. It's annoying when Shad rambles. Okay, and I'm good at rambling. All right. Okay, I don't know. I'll just take it for what it's worth, I guess. I mean, I definitely have to say, when I was watching or trying to watch his video about double axes that I wanted to reply to, I didn't make it through the entire video. It was too rambly. Yes, I do have to say that. I just have to skip. Okay, here's what he says there and then there. Yeah. But what? I don't actually have a follow-up thought. It's just, yeah, whatever. Thanks, Ardahan. Did I pronounce that correctly? Is that your new home? No, that's not new. This is still the same apartment that we've been stuck in for over a year now. Because the new place is still a foundation and it's not happening anytime soon. Yeah, the current, not even current. A recent estimate was that it might be finished in January, but it doesn't look like it's not even going to happen. So it might be March, it might be who knows what, April, maybe even later, I don't even know. This has been pretty stupid, this whole thing. Just delays. What a nice view of the fall foliage. Yeah, it's quite nice that there's still so much left. I would have expected most of the foliage to be down by now, but no. There's actually still some good colors. It's nice. I do love me some fall foliage. Or autumn. Being fatigued is just the worst. I take every side effect of caffeine over being fatigued. Yeah, tell me about it. It's so bad too sometimes. Like, sometimes the fatigue is bad enough that I legit can't even play video games. Like, that's too much. That's too much effort. That tells you something. Like, just sitting there, like, in a vegetative state pretty much. Like, I can't even do that. Just basically just mindlessly watching something or whatever. Yeah, sometimes it's really bad. But yeah, that's what stimulants are for. It's just, most likely it's a neurotransmitter imbalance, low dopamine, and so you gotta fix it artificially. It doesn't happen by itself. Some lifestyle choices help, but they cannot fix it. It's just, if your body underproduces a certain neurotransmitter, you're kind of fucked. It has to be corrected naturally, just the same way as with diabetes or whatever. Your body just doesn't produce enough of the thing, so you need more of the thing. Professional diagnosis right here. Yeah. As someone who lives in New England, this time of year is so beautiful. It's like eating the last cookie in the jar. Oh yeah, I accidentally skipped your previous one. Sorry, I am. People just have to learn it's not a contest. Yeah. You can see it as kind of a contest with yourself. Like, you're competing with yourself, trying to do better than you used to. That's pretty much it. And sometimes you regress, and then you gotta try to work on getting to the point where you used to be, which is sometimes incredibly difficult and frustrating, and takes a long time, etc. Any new game you're looking forward to? Not at the moment. Lately, I've just Started playing Resident Evil 2 remake again. I played through the remake of the first one more time. You know, the first time I played that one was actually on GameCube back in the day. So I revisited that, and now I've started RE2. That's actually a good way to do it, because this makes me appreciate the remake of the second more. Because the first time I played Resident Evil 2 remake, I was like, wow, this is weird. No fixed camera perspectives, and like, this is also different. And I liked it, but I had kind of mixed feelings about that. Now that I replayed the remake of the first, and now I'm doing the second, it's like, oh yes, so much better. You know, no loading times in between. Like, there's something kind of stylistic about the whole door animation thing. Kind of cool, but it gets so tedious after a while. Just let me go through the fucking door without doing this every time. You know, and a lot of other things too are just so tedious. The fixed camera angles are just nightmare. They have not, what's the word? Aged well. They have not aged well at all. In fact, even back in the day, it was kind of weird. It's just what they had to do to make the graphics better, you know, pre-render stuff. But yeah, it's way better. I know that feeling of fatigue very well. Yeah, it sucks, don't it? It was kind of innovative then. Yeah, it was. Absolutely was. And at the time, it was amazing. But it's so tedious, you know, compared to the free camera in the remake. Yeah, way better. And also the controls. When I played Resident Evil 1 remake, at first I wanted to do the tank controls original to you know just have the retro experience, but I did switch to the updated controls after all. It's just it's so clunky, it's so awkward, it's just terrible. So yeah, certain things, you know, they're nostalgic and all, but they needed to be replaced and improved for sure. Thanks, Mr. Roboto. If obsidian is sharper than steel, isn't it better? No, because sharpness in and of itself doesn't mean much if it's brittle, which it is. Like, and the thing is also, obsidian is only sharper at first, you know, because of the way it fractures. You know, when you strike a flake, it breaks off into this extremely thin edge that, you know, it's thinner than anything you can grind. But the problem is, as soon as you use it, you lose that sharpness pretty much immediately, because it gets so thin at the edge that there isn't enough material to support it. So it just breaks off, you know, microscopically. Like, the edge breaks off immediately and rounds over and everything. It'll stay reasonably sharp for a while, but it's just not durable at all. Plus, obsidian it's basically glass. So if you can drop a steel knife or a sword or whatever on the ground, it's fine. You can't do that with an obsidian knife. If you drop that on a hard, like on concrete floor, for example, it's going to break. It's just going to shatter. So yeah, definitely not better. Thanks, Adam. The biggest issue with Shad is that he's now a personality trying to convey historical realism via hyperbolic, overdramatic hot takes. Yeah, that's exactly my problem too. The thing is, I understand why he does what he does, because it works and YouTube incentivizes it. That's kind of the problem. I've even started thinking about, okay, should I get a teleprompter Should I, write a script, write it in such a way that it still is the way I talk, but it's just more coherent, it's less rambly, it's just more professional. Should I do that? Because I'm pretty sure that the videos will be more watchable that way. I don't know. I like to do things naturally because I definitely never want to play a persona. So, and I mean, doing a script is still fine because I wrote it and I write it in my own words. I would keep it as natural as possible. But I don't know. Then it's less spontaneous. Which, the bad thing about that is if you're doing something without a script, especially as a motherfucker with ADHD, it gets pretty chaotic at times. It gets rambly, I forget things, etc. But I mean, I tend to take notes anyway for that reason. Like I talk freely, but I look at the notes every now and then. So for that, a teleprompter would still be useful, just for the notes. But yeah, and of course the whole thing of thumbnails. Like I've been trying to improve my thumbnails and titles. I don't want to go clickbait, but of course YouTube incentivizes it big time, So, and also one other thing that YouTube really incentivizes is drama, quite frankly. The way the drama he stirred up with him dissing nunchakus, for example. That stirred up this whole drama. He made several videos about it, and it got a ton of views because it pissed people off, and that works. Like YouTube basically rewards you for pissing people off. Because it doesn't matter how much they thumb down a video. What matters is how much they engage with it. And if they are pissed off, they will angry typing intensifies and they will engage with it much more. So he gets rewarded for it. So he does it more. So I understand that. I can't really blame him for it because he's playing the game by YouTube's rules, essentially. I just don't like how insincere it can seem. And I say seem because I don't know what he's thinking. Nobody knows what's going on in his head. We can just see the things he does, and it works for him. I don't know, Yeah. Anyway, I generally try to give people the benefit of the doubt because I cannot know their intentions, and it's easy to both misunderstand and misrepresent what they're doing. So I try to be. What's the word? Amenable? No. I'm looking for a different word. You know what I mean. One thing I need to stop. I've noticed that whenever I'm wearing a lavalier mic, I have a really annoying habit of doing this. Like after I finish a sentence, I kind of smack my leg. Just kind of I gesture a lot, so that's really annoying whenever I have the lavalier mic because it's like thump, thump, I have to edit that out. I need to stop this. Stupid. Keep the hands away from the legs. One of those weird things to say. Anyway. Thanks, Mirochi. You're already good. You don't need a coherent script. You just say that because you don't know how shitty my videos are before I edit them. But thank you. If you don't want to be a persona, then just be you. I am always just YouTube freaking you over. Yeah, I know. And the thing is, I will never start being a persona. I might just do things a little bit, try to do them a little bit more professionally. Like the videos in October, I put a lot of effort into them, and I think they turned out really well. YouTube is still screwing me over on that. They're doing reasonably well, but not as well as I would have expected for this topic and format and presentation, etc. So, yeah. A lot of blah blah. I'm basically just saying the way YouTube does things kind of sucks and rewards questionable behavior. Let's put it that way. Um, where do you rate Sword Art Obsidian Blade as weapon? Well, depends. Like, I think I've talked about that in. Yeah, I have actually. In an older video, I talked about the swords from Sword Art Online and the what's called Obsidian Sword. People pointed out that it's not actually supposed to be obsidian. Like, it's just called that, and it's just. What was it like? If I remember correctly, people pointed out that it's like some magic dragon poop or something. It's nuts. But either way, it's not actual obsidian. So if it's just some magic material, whatever, it can do whatever it wants. Essentially, if it was obsidian, it would be very brittle. So yeah. Wear spiked pants. You'll stop smacking them thighs. Yeah, but that's even worse. And the video's gonna be like, oh fuck. It's gonna peak the audio, and then I have to edit that out too. It's like, that'd be great though. It's like, and that's why this particular design doesn't work. Fuck! Oh, god damn it. That would be amazing. I kind of want to do that just for fun. Not real spikes, but, Made some comments previously, but they were not noticed. Yeah, thanks. Wait, what? See? This is what I meant. Sometimes I just randomly pick the wrong word. Sorry, I meant not thanks. Wait, what? Can you make a video about stealth kills in different games such as Assassin's Creed? I think no, I only partially covered that. I made a video about throwing knives, like kills with throwing knives, whatever, like taking down sentries. So I kind of addressed that partially, but not entirely. The thing is, it would be a good video to do, but I'm not sure I can get away with it on YouTube without being, demonetized, censored, whatever. Because if I were to talk about it, I would have to talk about, what happens if this, like if a sentry's throat is being sliced, how much time do they have to react? That's, like discussing violence in its gory details. It's probably not going to go over very well with YouTube. So I don't know. I'd have to be careful about that. Maybe I can find an angle that's a little bit less controversial. I don't know. Okay, that's pretty smart. Picture of Geralt, and then the username is just of Rivia. So thanks, Geralt. I just wanted to wish you well and hope you're in good health. Thanks. Appreciate it. And same to you. I've loved watching your videos over the years. One of my favorite people on YouTube. Appreciate it. The rambly part is really interesting because it takes the videos into directions and topics one wouldn't see immediately. A prompter could streamline the content but leave it emptier. Not necessarily. It would actually condense it, so to speak, because instead of the rambling, I would have more actual points, because I could lay out all of my, then again, I tend to do that anyway with notes. It's really more of a style difference because I need notes anyway to not constantly forget things. So, yeah, that's basically just the difference. Is it notes or are they formulated better? Amicable, yeah. Yeah, amicable. That was the word that I was looking for. Thanks, Adam. Yeah. Amicable, yeah. Amenable is just sounds similar, but it's not the word. Also, I think you benefit from collabs. You're hurting from lack of networking. Yes, I agree with that, actually. I'm just really bad at that. I'm bad at reaching out to people and coordinating with them and everything. But it would be good to do it. Thanks, Sultan. Yep. Indeed. I'm about to go grab a coffee in this rain too. Yeah, that's. Is it as bad where you are? I wouldn't want to go out there right now. Not gonna lie, there's been times where you get too rambly and I think, dang, this is dragging on. Yeah, exactly. And that's hard to do if I just, what's the word? I was gonna say free ball it. That's definitely not what I mean. Wing it. If I just wing it. Free ball it. Here it's like 28 degrees Celsius. Yikes. Yeah, I take the rain over that any day. Holy fluff. Southern Hemisphere gang, yeah. Indeed. Rains here don't look as nice as there, really? Okay, what makes this nice? I don't know, broski. Free balling it, I think that will be my new expression. All right, suit yourself. I'm in Halifax, so it looks about the same. All right. Nunchucks better than spear? Yeah. Whoa. No, that's a controversial opinion right there. Rain always looks better when it is falling on somebody else's head. Wow. That's a little sociopathic right now, don't you think? Did you enjoy living in Prince George? Short answer, no. Long answer, no. It kind of sucks. You know, it's pulp mills and mosquitoes and, you know, harsh winters and hot summers and, you know, kind of a rundown town overall with not much to do. I mean, I know it's gotten better. That's the shocking thing about it. Like I heard from friends there that it used to be way worse. Okay. I also haven't been there since 2015, so I don't know how it is now. It's another 6 years. Remember to plug Patreon Discord. We answer questions. Yes, yeah. On the Patreon Discord, plenty of questions are asked and answered, and people are having conversations and shoving memes back and forth and hanging out, and it's a good place. You might enjoy it, but you'd have to head over to the Patreon and, you know, sign up or something. I don't know. Thanks, AM. I might rebrand to Free Ball Productions. Yeah, there you go. Free Ball Productions. Hell yeah. If God gave you the power of killing all mosquitoes on Earth, but you had to lose all bodily hair, would you do it? All hair, like literally everything? You know what? I do it, and then I just get some hair surgically implanted. Fuck it. It's worth it. I just get a beard implant. Like, seriously, to kill all mosquitoes? I mean, only if it didn't, like, magically didn't screw over the ecosystem. Because if you literally removed all of them, it would. It would mess with the ecosystem quite a bit, unfortunately. But yeah, I would make sacrifices for that. For sure. Why does the algorithm hate you? I wish I knew. And I wish I knew how to appease it. But so far I don't. So far it's just wrecking me. Wasps are worse than that. Yeah, they can be. It's a matter of numbers. I mean, okay, I will say a mosquito swarm, as horrible and annoying as it is, a wasp swarm of the same numbers would be worse. Yes, I will say that for sure. Thanks, Giovanni. If the Norse went and tried to raid and pillage Tang Dynasty or 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms era China, what would you think the outcome would be in that scenario and conflict? Good question. I don't think they would be able to raid it as effectively as, say, England, simply because it's such a long distance. They would have to, get supplies. I mean, yeah, they would, of course, take whatever they need whenever they can, but it's just more difficult over greater distances. I don't know how good they were at that time. I think they probably had fortifications, because the thing is, the Vikings, with their raids and pillaging, basically caused all the fortifications to happen. Castles and this and that and the other. If that's already in place, then they wouldn't have much success, So I don't think they would do terribly well there, necessarily. Can't tell you for sure, though I don't know enough about the history of China, so... thanks, Sultan. Would you rather fight one chicken every time you have to drive your car, or have one sword fight yearly with an orangutan? Well, that's easy because I don't drive myself, so there. My ADHD is too bad to drive. I'm basically not safe on the road, so yee. So that's an easy choice. Thanks, 1OD2. The algorithm doesn't like weapons in any way, shape. No. I've heard that a number of times, but that's not the thing. It used to be way better. And in fact, I've had ups and downs. Like there was another time in 2016 where the algorithm also throttled me quite a bit, and 17, I think, as well. But I had already been making videos about weapons for a long time, and the spikes I've had when my channel did exceptionally well, that was also when I made videos about that. So it's just recently that they changed something that throttled me again for some reason, but not because I make videos about weapons, but something else. I don't know. Anyway, you're not a giant, so the only way to find you is to search your name. Yeah, well, I mean, my videos do pop up in the recommendations sometimes for, whenever people search, some particular game or something history or certain type of sword or realism or whatever. Do you know of any places where you could buy a sword that comes with the ancient soul of a mystical blacksmith already fused into it? Or do I have to do that myself? I would recommend Craigslist. You might find something there. There's cursed swords and stuff. Why do people keep asking if I could beat Shad in a sword fight? I don't know. I haven't seen him spar. A little bit maybe. No, I think it was just demonstrations. I'm not sure I've seen him spar full intensity and everything. I don't know. Also, I'm in really shitty shape right now. I have to say that. And lately, I haven't had any time to practice regularly. So I think, 2017 me, at my fittest, I would probably bet on myself then, on my 2017 self. Right now, I don't know. Have you thought about doing gameplay live streams? I've thought about it, but the problem is always I can't multitask worth a damn. So if I'm playing a game, I cannot keep track of the chat, like at all, unless I constantly stop the gameplay and just look at it. Also, I only have one screen, so it's not really... That wouldn't really be a great live experience. I've tried that a few times, but it always basically puts the chat on ice, and people often just leave or start to not be active in the chat anymore because I can't respond anyway. So what's the point of it being live? Thanks again, AM. You can also expand your content like you used to. Talk about pet peeves, hobbies, superheroes are still a big thing. You've talked about that before in those videos. All right. Yeah, I can't do that at all anymore, unfortunately. I can tell that now everything needs to be like on point, basically. It needs to be a relevant topic that people are interested in right now. It needs to be, streamlined format, this and that. It just... Stuff like that, unfortunately, doesn't work at all anymore. You can see that by my rambly video about... Well, it wasn't too rambly, actually. But video about my opinion on the He-Man and She-Ra reboots. And let's see... What other... I have done videos like that in a while because I could tell that they aren't doing well at all. Anything rambly, yeah, the thing about sword enthusiasts being nerdy, that didn't do well, predictably. What else? Unboxing videos didn't do well at all anymore. They used to, but not anymore. A lot of these things, just personal opinions, this and that, just garbage. Just completely flops. So it's not even worth the time that I have to put into it, unfortunately. Thanks, Christomir. Would you beat Matt Easton in a sword fight? Right now, no. Definitely not. At my best, could I have had a chance? I don't know. I don't think I've seen sparring footage of him either, but I know that he's been an instructor for a long time. So, yeah, he's got to be good. Thanks, Nayat. Could you beat a sword in a people fight? Yes, I'd smack the shit out of the sword with some poor some poor schlub I'd just pick up by the leg and just fucking sword. Yeah, 100%. Swords have poor people skills. That's true. It's legit. Thanks, James, for becoming a member. Appreciate it. If invited, would you travel to collaborate with Matt Easton's or Todd's workshop in a post-pandemic world? Yes, if I can manage it at the time, in the sense budget-wise, time-wise, I'd definitely be up for it, but I have to be able to fit it in. Do you plan on continuing the Walks into a Shop series? I found it hilarious, but so true it hurts. I might. I definitely wanted to do some more of that. It's just... I need inspiration. You know, I need to be in a certain mood and mindset to have that type of creativity, if you know what I mean. There are different kinds of creativity and inspiration. Thanks, one OD2. Oh yeah, I talked about AC Valhalla before, but what do you think about the Discovery Tour they've added? I have no idea. Sorry, I haven't heard of that or seen it or anything, so can't tell you. Have you ever considered being a consultant for a fantasy movie / TV show? No, I just ain't nobody got time for that. I can barely manage my everyday schedule. So, yeah. Which one you prefer? A black sword that destroys the victim's mind, or classic fire sword that burns everything and everyone? I think I'll go with the fire sword because I don't know, the mind destruction, that's kind of icky, you know. Turning somebody into a vegetable. I think it's honestly less immoral to straight up kill someone than to turn them into a vegetable. Yeah. Thanks, Hans. Fantasy film / TV you wish you consulted on and fixed. Wow. Is there one that I really liked, with the exception of the fight scenes? That's kind of tricky on top of my head. The thing is, I can't really think of too many historical movies or even historical fantasy that I like all that much necessarily, other than the ones that I've already talked about, which already have pretty good choreography. Does that count as fantasy? Does Star Wars count as fantasy? Like, it's yeah, it's space fantasy, right? Because yeah, it's sci-fi, but it's also got magic, so I think it counts. Because there's so much to fix. The fighting, it looks so ridiculous. The jumpy, twirly nonsense. Yeah, but I've got a video in the making about that exact topic. I've been editing that today, and it's almost done, and it should be up for the weekend. So, yay. Have you had a chance to watch the first 3 episodes of Arcane League of Legends on Netflix? I didn't even know that was a thing. I wish League of Legends was a different genre, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but I like a lot of the character designs. I think they're pretty freaking awesome, but it's just not my kind of game, unfortunately. So I might actually check that out. What was it? Arcane? Depends if it's live action or not. Because if it's live action, I might not like it. Animated. Hell yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, I'll check that out. For sure. Neat. Thanks for bringing it up. If you don't need to be a League player to enjoy it, then absolutely, I would check that out. Thanks, Helios Dominus, if I pronounce it correctly. Love your videos. I nerded out on several of the ancient weapon videos. Thank you for the veducation. You're welcome, I guess. I'd fixed the first Star Wars fight with Ben and Darth Vader. In fact, a YouTube channel already did that. They CG'd Alex Guinness' face on one of the actors. Okay. Thanks, Christomir. Star Wars is definitely fantasy. Space fantasy is not sci-fi at all. Has nothing to do with science. I mean, some of it, but there's tech. But yeah, it's basically fantasy science fiction hybrid, because you got like sci-fi simply means that it's in the future and it's got advanced technology, which Star Wars has, but it's also got the Force, aka space magic, and so yeah, it's fantasy too. It's both. Because magic is not part of science fiction. Generally. Thanks, Edgar. Talking about Star Wars. Have you seen the video by Corridor Crew? That's exactly what I've been working on. That's the video, inspired by that I've been making lately. Finishing that today. Indeed, that's awesome. Yes, but the midichlorians are described scientifically. Yeah, well, not retcon. What's the word? I would call that science yada yada because it's a bunch of bullshit. Like, this is not really very scientific. So, I don't know. I think this is just a way to kind of hand wave and yeah, no, it's not just magic, it's science. No, it's not. Shut up. That's my opinion. I mean, it is kind of a retcon, isn't it? Yeah. Thanks, Magnus. Thanks for the great content. Your dedication to good research is commendable and pleases my little historian's heart. Cheers from Denmark. Awesome. Thanks. Yay, technobabble. Not even. Like, it's. I feel like it's less than technobabble. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, sort of. I think Lucas was insecure about the Force being magic. Yeah. No, it's definitely not more legitimate if it's a bunch of technobabble. Just stick to it. Just fucking space magic. It's fine. Don't. Like, if you want to make a magic system or whatever science power system, whatever the hell, then it's got to make more sense than this. You need an actual system, not just there are these things that cause magic. Haha. Thanks, Free State fellow. When Wheel of Time comes out, will you react to weapons armor choreography or something? Still said they took the water sword and basically made it a katana. What is this about exactly? Is there like a Wheel of Time movie or series or game, or what is it? I haven't heard of it. I mean, I've heard of Wheel of Time, obviously, the novels, but I don't know what you're referring to. Yeah, crystals absorbing souls. The whole thing, like souls. I mean, come on, they literally have ghosts. Jedi ghosts. How's that science? It ain't. It's magic. Period. TV show. Okay, cool. That's pretty neat. Yeah, you definitely cannot technobabble force ghosts to make any sense. I'm firm on that. Magic does not equal divinity. Why not? And for like divine beings require magic. They are magical by definition. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. Magic is just technology of physics we cannot grasp with our minds yet. Yeah, basically, but that's really more what makes it seem like magic is your lack of understanding. There is actual magic that is presented as such and is, a different kind of force. Force. You know what I mean? The thing is, in a world where magic is real, basically, I guess studying magic would be sort of like science. Maybe. It's an artificial distinction because magic doesn't exist in our world. So magic and science are at odds. They cannot coexist in our world. In a different world, it might be different. So yeah, you can justify, like, with enough gum flapping, with enough words that you throw out, you can justify almost anything. So whatever, it's fiction after all. Who gives a fluff? Thanks, Beardo. Just cause. You already answered a couple of my questions. Seriously, though, Arcane. I'm not a LOL player. LOL. Worth it for the visuals alone. Voice acting doesn't suck either. That's nice. Sounds good. Thanks, AM. Thanks, say what you want about George, but he created an amazing universe where I want to live. Really? You do? It wouldn't be the most popular franchise ever for a reason. You mean for no reason? Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't. Because Star Wars is a dystopia. I mean, Empire, the evil emperor and Siths and all. I know that they're more benign interpretations of the Sith, but quite often they're scumbags. So I don't know. I don't think this is. Especially for average people, I don't think this is a great place to live. It is definitely a negative kind of future. I think Star Trek is actually more positive than Star Wars. It's actually more like Star Trek could be a utopia without all the war, like if the different species got along. This is weird sound again. It's probably construction machines. Anyway, ramp up and move to 40K. Isn't that even? That's even worse, isn't it? That's like, that's really dystopian. I mean, we already live in a corporate dystopia of sorts, so it's just a lame one. It's just a boring one. Like, at least in Shadowrun, it's also a corporate dystopia, but at least there you've got the cool stuff too. Anyway. That's why I want to be there. Lightsabers, laser, plasma, because the bolts have mass, guns, and the Force. Who wouldn't want to go Force Unleashed in a Sith Lord? Yeah, I don't know. If you're that kind of thrill seeker, I guess. But the thing is, it's only cool if you're a main character. If you're just one of the many NPCs, it sucks. Like, imagine you're in the Star Wars universe, but you're a fucking clone trooper. That would suck, big time. Or just some rando on some planet. I don't know. It's only cool because it's heroic. It's heroic fantasy. But as a regular person, it wouldn't be fun. I don't think. We're basically all NPCs in real life, yeah. That's a problem. And Star Trek is full of violent aliens that cause frequent wars with lots of other dangers. Yeah, that's my problem with it. Star Trek could be great. It could be a utopia and everything, but there are problems for the sake of storytelling, because a peaceful world where everybody is living a good life would be boring for the viewer. I mean, it wouldn't have to be. If it was character driven, it could still be interesting, but that's not how mainstream storytelling works, you know? Like, as an example, anyone who's watched Doom Patrol, for example, or Invincible for that matter, they're really interesting characters in it. And I would watch something that's basically just slice of life, where the characters are just doing things. They don't always have to be in mortal peril and all the crazy, ridiculous shit happening and high stakes, and the world is about to end and they're about to die and this and that and the other, or they die and come back, etc., etc. It doesn't have to be that. It could, like, if the characters are good enough, then, you know, it could be just slice of life stuff. Like, I wouldn't watch, you know, Friends or whatever, which is basically that. It's just character driven, nothing else. I wouldn't watch that. That's too boring because it's a mundane setting. But, you know, less, like, more interesting characters that are not just a bunch of, you know, regular, you know, average humans, that would make it more interesting. So, yeah, it's just my opinion. I really like your video on Vermintide too, because I've been playing it a lot lately, and I think you made quite a few mistakes. Yeah, I'm sure I did, because I haven't played it extensively. I'm prone to, like, for example, some people pointed out that when I said that with shield and spear, like he's just casting the shield aside, I misinterpreted that it's actually a shield bash. You know, it just looked like it was just him opening up the way he often does. What's going on? Oh, let me actually adjust the aperture, because this got pretty dark. You can barely see me anymore. Just becoming a black blob. All right, let's adjust it a little bit. Gonna have to crank it here a little bit. There, yeah, that's better. That better. Shut up, I love Friends. Hey, I'm not judging. You can like whatever you want. You know, you like what you like. I don't mind if anybody is super into Friends. I've never watched it, so I don't even have an informed opinion. It's just, it seems boring to me because it's just a mundane setting. But, you know, it can be interesting, I guess, if the characters are good, interesting enough. Yeah. Vulcans are space elves, Klingons are space orcs. It's, yeah. They're definitely very clear equivalents. Almost type slice of lice? Yikes. Slice of yikes, more like. Heh. Oh man, I've been standing too long. I like having the standing desk to alternate between standing and sitting throughout the day, because just sitting too long is unhealthy. But now I've been standing for quite a while and getting a little sore. Oh no, they be flapping. So don't mind me. I'm just flexing my legs a little bit. So I'm gonna be bouncy. Boing, boing, boing. Quality entertainment right here. Ha. Don't your legs itch when you stand for so long? No, they just start to hurt. My feet in particular start to hurt, but they don't itch. Yes, quality entertainment. Indeed. Ugh. No, I'm not a snail. 40k of space sharks? It does? Well, guess you need Space Batman with some space shark repellent in his space utility belt. Would you rather have a blade that cuts through virtually everything or a blade that could become intangible at your will of former? I can't think of too many good uses for the latter. If you're creative, I'm sure you can, but I mean, the obvious application is going through someone's guard. Like you strike and they try to block it, and you just make it phase through and then solidify it right after so it hits them. Yeah, that's good. But if you can just cut through it, who cares, right? Same effect, but you can do a lot more with cutting through everything. So you don't have to bypass a parry. So I think it's just be more direct. You know what I'm saying? Batman being a master of 127 martial arts is very, very dumb. I agree. It is definitely a superpower because you couldn't do that. No way. Like, even if he was 100 years old and somehow still physically young, it's not enough time. It's not enough time to master. Because, like, think about it. Is it actually 127? Either way, like, think about it. You cannot master a martial art within a year. It takes 10, 20 years, depending on how you define master. So, and you can't do like every martial art at once. You cannot just cram them all in. Like, even if this was literally your full-time job, if you did nothing else, nothing other than practice martial arts, plus, recovery, because you'd just be overtrained to hell and back, you can't do it, let alone if you also run a company and you do all this crazy shit at night, and he doesn't even have time to sleep, really, technically. So, no. It's completely ridiculous. Like, he may have mastered a couple, maybe, and dabbled in a lot of others, but there's no way he mastered all of them. It's ridiculous. Completely impossible. To be the very best, you only need to master 5 martial arts: boxing, taekwondo, wrestling, judo, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Yeah, something like that. I would maybe... I mean, you can go easy and you can just say he mastered MMA, because then you've got, a little bit of everything useful, pretty much. So basically, they should have just said that. They should have just said he mastered mixed martial arts, period. He's like an MMA... world champion level, basically. There, done. Yeah, there are only so many ways to hit someone. It's unnecessary. Plus, so many different martial arts, they will have techniques that are mutually exclusive. Like, you cannot mix them directly as such. Or, like some that might be more useful in such a specific situation that you might as well go with something else, whatever. It's pretty silly. Thanks, Frank. How's it going? Hope you and Kara are well. Yep. Overall, pretty well. Excellent work on the slasher weapons video. The sickle surprised me a little. Never thought of that without your input. Glad to know. Always happy to, broaden people's horizon and such, and especially, mostly just entertain. Yeah, has Batman trained HEMA too? That's a good question. That's a martial art, so yeah. In fact, it's many, depending on the weapon. Like, it makes sense with someone like Taskmaster, who can just, he looks at you do something and then he's figured out the entire martial art, which is ridiculous too. That requires magic as well. But at least, like if you can instantly absorb everything somebody knows about this martial art, then yeah, you can accumulate all kinds. And then you know how to counter others as well. So that's great, but yeah. As a regular human, hell no. I mean, he is sometimes shown as using a sword as well, which apparently he can. Like he knows how to use anything and everything that the plot demands. That's it. He's the ultimate Mary Sue. He does that well, but that's what it is. That's actually what I appreciated about the most recent Batman animated movies, The Long Halloween. We watched that on Halloween, and that was fantastic. It's easily one of the best animated or even just Batman movies, period, that I've seen. It's really good, and he isn't as overpowered. He isn't completely ridiculously over the top. He doesn't have a gadget for every single situation. In fact, he's not that gadget heavy in those, and yeah, it's pretty damn good. Like, he's competent in everything. He's a badass, but he's not completely ridiculously, over the top. Batman and Iron Man, the only two good rich guys. And in case of Tony Stark, you can debate that. It kind of depends on which time in his character development you look at, because he wasn't always a good guy as such, Yeah, it's true. Batman is super anti-gun, but he's also a firearms expert with extreme marksman skills. That's a funny thing. Yeah, like I get that he would know how to disassemble them or deactivate them or whatever. He would know how to deal with them, so he has to understand them. But that he would be that good, like have practiced shooting that much, that's a little weird, right? I wouldn't call Batman a Mary Sue. He certainly has struggles. Well, that doesn't take away from it. You can be a Mary Sue, but still have moments of struggle. Like, it's still, the thing still remains that he has whatever the plot requires to get through a situation that he shouldn't really be able to deal with. Like, yeah, he doesn't always. Sometimes he has setbacks and everything, but generally he gets away with things that he shouldn't be able to. So quite often. Thanks, Frank. With hand-to-hand combat, what would you prioritize more, striking or grappling? That's one of those fundamental questions in MMA, isn't it? Like, which one do you emphasize, which do you practice more? I do think that different people have different, what's the word? Not tendencies, potential aptitude, different aptitude. Like, for example, somebody who is shorter, like short and stocky, is going to be better at grappling because it wouldn't have as much reach for striking. You know, like if you're tall and you've got long arms and legs, then you can use that effectively as a striker. And some people just naturally lean more toward being either a striker or a grappler. So that really depends. But which one is better? I mean, it can go either way. Like a striker can, like a really good striker can shut down a grappler by keeping him at a distance and prevent him from getting a hold of him. And a good grappler can completely nullify everything that a striker can do. Like I've definitely seen some fights where a grappler just completely dominated a striker as soon as he got in there because the guy didn't know how to defend himself at all against a grappling. But, again, if you're good at shutting down takedown attempts, then you will dominate. So, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those big questions. I wonder if it's easier to shut down a striker with grappling than it is to shut down a grappler with striking. But I'm not deep enough into MMA to know that. I see a lot of wrestlers / grapplers charge in low, trying to get the leg and completely expose their temple, sometimes getting completely decimated. Yeah, I've seen that, and I've also seen them being incredibly efficient at just shooting in at the right time without being hit and just, annihilating the other guy. So it is a skill, a matter of skill. Like if you have a striker and a grappler who are at the exact same skill level, I really don't know how it would go. Exact same skill level and exact same physical ability, which is, hard that it's unlikely that everything matches exactly, It's even difficult to compare and rate. I mean, I will definitely say that grappling is generally quite useful. There's there are definitely plenty of opportunities to rush in for grappling once if you're good enough at evading or defending against the attacks of a striker. So there's that, but it depends on how good they are. It sure does. I mean, like everything, whatever you look at, whatever martial art or what have you, any skill, it depends on how good are they. Sorry about the black screen. I'll fix that in a moment. I just wanted to adjust. Yeah, because it's still getting darker. Oh no, oh shit. I moved the camera too much. We're doomed. Is it falling? No, you stay. You son of a bitch. Uh-oh. I've disturbed the delicate balance. I have made a grave mistake. Okay, I think we're good. Except that it's there. Uh-oh. Yeah, I've seriously disturbed the balance here. There was a delicate equilibrium for this camera, and I have fucked with it. Really. Are you staying there? I think it is. I think it is. If you're suddenly falling towards me, then you know what's happening. Well, you look overburdened. Can I help you?
Fine. No, I'm good.
Okay. Alrighty, what else is happening? It might come down to whether or not they're on their feet or on the ground. I mean, if the striker is on the ground, then the grappler has already won pretty much. And of course, keep in mind that it's not exclusive. There are plenty of fighters that are, mainly strikers, but they know enough grappling that they can, they can deal with it, and vice versa. Not like grapplers aren't completely incapable of striking, stuff like that.
Unless they're me.
Yeah, well. Caffeine wearing off yet? A little bit, yeah. I can feel that the crash is maybe not around the corner, but eventually it's going to come in the not too distant future. Yep. Thanks again, Frank. Bruce Lee, who heavily favored striking, sparred with gold medalist judoka Hayward Nishioka, who says that Lee was just far too fast for him. Yeah. Speed is definitely a major asset. Would you say grappling is less important in weapons MMA? Yeah, definitely. With weapons, it's not as important. It still is, and that can make quite a difference. But I would say, yeah, it's because in unarmed fighting, it makes a huge difference, more so than with weapons. Depends on what weapons, because I mean, if you're talking machetes or similar length, short swords, it's a lot more important. Long swords, not as much, but still matters. Batman the Animated Series did a great job at humanizing Batman. Yes, and it seems that they took a lot of inspiration from that with the Long Halloween. I mean, I know that the Long Halloween, it's a comic, it's based on the comic, but I found it interesting that the art style looks absolutely like the animated Batman series, with the weird, outdated looking cars and all that. Is kind of this vintage feel to it. That was interesting. Didn't expect that. But it's neat. They did it quite well. Yep, of course. Batman Beyond is great. Mixing unarmed combat with a weapon, even nowadays, is the most effective way to use one, I think. Binding gives you a lot of options. Yep, I said, especially with a shorter one. There are certainly plenty of ways to apply that. Have you ever been approached regarding consulting on a movie or game? Yes, a couple of times, and I had to turn it down because there's no way I could fit that in. I was just too busy, and still am. Whoa. Thanks, James. That's a weird super sticker. Mark Hamill is best animated, and maybe just Joker in general. Yeah, it's one of the definitive Jokers, you know. It's the definitive clown type Joker. You know, there are other types as well, you know, just like Heath Ledger is the definitive gritty anarchist Joker, you know. Okay, I should really help you over there. So, no, it's fine.
I can manage.
I know that you can, but I want to help you. How long have I been streaming anyway? I mean, pretty much 2 hours, an hour 50 minutes, so I might as well wrap it up here. So, thanks for showing up, everybody. Hope you had fun. I'll stream again next week. I'll try to make it a weekly thing. And thanks for the super chats and everything. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next week.